make sure to follow us on Instagram at Whistlethrowers. It's a great way to interact with our show. Our DMs are always open for questions, topic discussions, and more. You will be able to find our new episodes and other announcements there.
There's an easy answer to this question, and the answer is no. There's no way he's catching Tom Brady.
All right, thanks for tuning back into the Whistlethrowers podcast. This is Jack Mobarak, joined by
Jack Slaymaker.
And the NFL season has officially concluded. The Chiefs are the champions once again, and now they have a shot to be three-peat champs. And the last time that happened was
Never.
damn. Okay, so he has a chance to make history. So now that he's won his third championship, do you think that there's any sliver of chance that he catches up to Tom?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that he has a real possibility to surpass what Tom Brady has accomplished. And that's really saying something, because I know their stats side by side through their first, whatever, I forget how many years Mahomes, I think this is his sixth year, I'm pretty sure. So since Mahomes entered the league, that time span with Tom Brady's first 6 years also, playoff stats are very similar. I would not be surprised if Mahomes has a better second half to his career than Tom Brady. It would be really hard to do because Brady had an incredible second half to his career as well as the first half. But if Mahomes has proven that he can have a first half like mirrors what Tom Brady did in New England those first couple years in the 2000s, then there's no reason not to believe that he can't even do better in the second half of his career.
There's an easy answer to this question, and the answer is no. There's no way he's catching Tom Brady. And what it comes down to is the fact that Tom Brady had the same coach for the 19 years between Belichick's first year coaching and that last Super Bowl that they won. Andy Reid's not coaching for another decade with the Chiefs. It's just not going to happen. And you're also not going to get that same consistency over and over. Look, we're talking about something that could be historic if they win next year, winning 3 in a row. I do not think that's going to happen. And if they don't, how much longer does Andy Reid coach? How much longer do they keep this coaching staff together? How much longer can they keep the weapons under Mahomes' massive contract that Brady never, ever signed because he always prioritized winning? And I'm not saying Mahomes doesn't prioritize winning, but at the end of the day, Brady's contract made it so they could sign as many great players as the Patriots wanted. That's not going to happen with the Chiefs. What happens when Chris Jones retires? What happens when Travis Kelce retires? There's too many questions that didn't happen under Tom Brady that we're not going to know for a very long time. But at this point, I'm going to say no. I also don't think it matters, because if Mahomes keeps playing this way, he will be the greatest quarterback of all time, whether or not he gets 7 rings.
Yeah, I'm in the same camp as Aiden. I don't think Patrick Mahomes will surpass Tom Brady in rings. However, I don't think that's necessary for him to be considered the greatest of all time, like Aiden said. Big thing is coaching, like Aiden stated. Like, you never know how much longer he's going to be coaching for, and I think that's a big part of it. Travis probably has like 4 years tops left in the league, and who knows who he's going to look to if they can't get a consistent weapon now that they lost like Tyreek Hill at wide receiver. Like, you can't just lean on Isaiah Pacheco, who didn't even lead the team in rushing yesterday. So I don't know who they're going to replace the head coach or the tight end with. However, I think Mahomes will still find a way, but I don't think it will translate to continued postseason victories.
No, I just can't agree with you guys, because the thing is, the reason that Tom Brady was able to stay relevant for so long in the NFL and keep his teams at a championship contention level is because he built guys up. Like, Gronk and Edelman were not there for 20 years with Tom Brady. Like, they came in the back half of his career, and Brady and the Patriots coaching staff really built both of those guys, into superstars, and they fit a system. I think that a valid point you guys brought up was Andy Reid leaving, but because I think coaches are less replaceable than players, because it's a lot like thinking the game is a lot different than just going out and playing it. So I think that Andy Reid is going to be way harder to replace than even Kelce or Chris Jones. But the key is that you have to bring guys in and build them up. And I think that with the Chiefs culture, that's what they're going to do with people. Like, they are going to bring receivers in that maybe you've never heard of, and then in 5 years you're going to know it's going to be a household name, kind of like Julian Edelman, kind of like Chris Hogan, who had great Super Bowls. James White had a ton of great Super Bowls. Like there are a lot of names you could run through that helped the Patriots and Tom Brady win 6 Super Bowls.
But do you see them doing that without Andy Reid? Because like Belichick was there to develop all the guys you just listed.
Well, I think that having Tom Brady there, or I'm sorry, having Patrick Mahomes there I think it cuts up some slack from losing Andy Reid, but I don't necessarily think, like, I think if they hire within Andy Reid's tree and upgrade within house when Andy Reid does leave, because I don't know. I mean, Andy Reid could still coach for another 5 years. He'd only be 70, which isn't out of the question. Like Belichick and Carroll just coached at 72. It's not out of the question. I mean, yeah, 10 years down the line, now he's probably not going to be coaching anymore at that point. So yeah, you will have to replace him. And I think that if they upgrade within house, and as long as they have Patrick Mahomes there to help that coach, they're in good hands. Like, I
just think the drops this year were an issue. And like, I think you look at Andy, he's the reason they were able to fix that.
Yeah.
And Mahomes wasn't able to fix it. And I'm not saying that's his fault, because he had guys like Kadarius Toney and like MVS.
Yeah. Everything you're saying is right, but Mahomes still overcame that and won the Super Bowl. Like,
yeah,
I don't necessarily like, so basically what I'm getting at is like, everything you're saying is valid with losing the people that you guys named and things that the Patriots built in the 2000s. They don't just happen every decade. Like that was special. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying the Chiefs I'm not even necessarily predicting anything. I'm just saying that I believe they can do that. Like I believe they can meet that standard that the Patriots set, because I think there's a lot to trust. I don't know. The thing is, there are a lot of guys you never know. Like there are a ton of players and coaches who you're like, this dude's going to leave. Like this dude's going to retire this year. And then you just kind of give up on it. And you're just like, I have no freaking clue when that guy's going to leave. Like,
yeah,
somewhat like LeBron. LeBron started hitting older ages, and you're like, is this going to be the year when he hits the cliff and has to retire? And it just has like never happened. Even now, he hasn't even, I mean, sure, his plays decline, but not a cliff. And I don't know when we'll see that with Kelsey even, because I think his play, like the yardage declined, but I don't necessarily think his play declined this year.
Yeah, but he's at a very physical position.
Yeah, you're right.
I can't see him going past like 39.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no. I mean,
he's 34 right now.
He really is 34. Wow.
If he's about to turn 34, if he isn't already. But
yeah. Actually, I didn't realize he was that old. Yeah, you're probably right. Even 5 years.
Yeah,
might be a stretch. Like 3 or 4. Yeah. But he's still a great player.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Moving into the game though, I just want to say, if I'm a San Francisco 49ers fan, I'm not too angry with that game at all, especially from Brock Purdy's angle.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, they're going to be back there, and the fact that was a 24-year-old playing his first Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And he didn't throw a turnover against probably the best defense the last 3 months of football. Is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't even really make a huge mistake, in my opinion. Like everyone's saying, like the Deebo Samuel end zone miss, but that was such a tight window. Like if you
when it got broken up, that one.
When he like kind of overthrew it, kind of got broken up. Like that is such a small window, and it took me like replaying it to see like there are probably like 3 guys that can make that throw.
Yeah.
Like consistently.
Yeah.
And it's fine that a 24-year-old can't in his first Super Bowl.
I think Brock Purdy, just like Jalen Hurts proved last year, I think they both, like Brock Purdy proved that he can win games in this league, and he can be a franchise quarterback for the 49ers. Like, and we've been saying it all year too. Like, sure, Brock Purdy like fits the bill and fits the system for the 49ers, but I think collectively, like we can all agree that this system quarterback narrative thing is like kind of BS. Because if you think about it, everyone is a system quarterback.
Yeah.
Like what would Patrick Mahomes' development look like without Andy Reid? We'll never know. So it doesn't even matter to sit here and discuss it.
I think it's true to an extent with the Niners, just because like you have guys like Jimmy G that could throw like 8 passes in a championship game. Yeah, however, he can't get them over the hump is the point.
Yeah.
I think Brock Purdy can.
Yeah, right. That's where I agree with you. And that's where I'm going to bring up this point too. Sure, he has all these amazing weapons. And look who didn't effing show up yesterday. Kittle, Ayuk, Deebo Samuel. They were non-existent.
Yeah.
And like the only people that showed up were Brock effing Purdy, Christian McCaffrey,
Juwan Jennings.
and Juwan Jennings.
He was going to win Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, I know.
probably.
Yeah,
But
he was the only player in Super Bowl history with a
Besides
receiving touchdown and passing touchdowns besides Nick Foles in the Super Bowl. Like that's pretty crazy.
Mhm.
And I think he would be the second skill position, or no, maybe third skill position player to throw a touchdown in the Super Bowl, because I think the only three to do it are Antoine Randall, Trey Burton. It would be Juwan Jennings now. Yeah. So I'm not sure. There may have been one before that I'm missing, but I know at least since 2000, those would be the three.
I don't want to be too hard on Kittle because like his number didn't get called at all during the game.
I guess.
And every time his number was called, like he extended that drive like towards the end of the game that kept them in the game, sent them to overtime. Like he made big plays the couple times he got the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Deebo Samuel, however, I also don't want to be too hard on him because I think that hamstring injury was.
I guess, but I don't necessarily want to give the injury excuse, because the thing is, if you were on the field to play, then I think you were well enough to play.
Yeah.
And everyone is dealing with something. Like everyone has spent the last 20 some weeks, straight weeks, 25 probably straight weeks if you include like training camp and everything. Everyone has spent that amount of time straight playing football every week. Yeah. So I don't want to give him that excuse, because when you think about the wide receiver corner battle, it's really a one-on-one matchup a lot of the times, and Deebo Samuel got locked up by Trent McDuffie. McDuffie was shadowing him. He really put it on Deebo Samuel. 11 targets and only 3 catches. Like McDuffie was all over him.
Mm-hmm. I want to get Aiden in here really quick.
So I'm not going to say that anyone's to blame for this loss. That Purdy throw that you guys talked about, he was about to get sacked. The fact that he even got that pass off anywhere near a receiver is just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he played really well. I thought that the pocket could have been a little bit cleaner. But besides that, Purdy did everything that he had to do to get your team in a position to win.
Agreed.
I do blame Kyle Shanahan a little bit for this loss, only because the amount of 49ers players that have come out and said they didn't know the overtime rule.
Yep.
That is ridiculous for the last game of the season. You've got to break down every single thing that could possibly happen throughout a football game if you're planning on winning, especially the last game of the season, especially the Super Bowl. The fact that they seemed to think that they could get the field goal and win and didn't realize that the Chiefs could get the ball back, that boggles my mind.
Yeah, seriously.
Andy Reid had his guys prepared. And to me, it sounds like the 49ers weren't as prepared, which, if I'm a fan of the 49ers, that irritates me a lot.
Me too.
You see, I kind of thought that was such like a lame excuse and like the worst thing that you could have said, because in my mind, it made sense for them to ask for the ball first, because that defense came off a very long drive and they were probably exhausted. Yeah. So it'd probably make the most sense for them to get the ball first. So I don't know what the issue is.
No, yeah, I agree with you. And I think like I don't think the issue lies with taking the ball first. I agree with Aiden. The issue lies with you didn't know that scoring a touchdown doesn't win you the game, doesn't seal you the game there.
That's not even Shanahan's fault. The referee literally said both teams were going to get the ball.
But the Chiefs players have come out and said that that was something that they harped on each week in the playoffs, was the overtime rules, and they went over it twice leading up to the Super Bowl. So there's no excuse to not have your players. Like, you're right. The ref literally stood there and said it before he threw the coin up in the air. Yeah. But like, you should have known it before that happened. Mm-hmm. You know, that's where the blame lies with Kyle Shanahan.
The team is just really immature too.
Yeah,
like they really can't ever take accountability. And I know we're Eagles fans, but
I want let Aiden make his point that I have 2 points that you hit on there.
Kyle Shanahan is now 0-3 in Super Bowls.
Yeah,
ran the offense in the worst collapse in Super Bowl history. He couldn't figure out a way to manage a 10-point lead late in the fourth quarter the first time that the 49ers played the Chiefs, and now there's this. Mm-hmm. To me, this just tells me that he can put a great system together offensively. He can get teams to the playoffs, but he can't win the big one. And until he does, this is going to be the narrative that sticks with him his career. It's not going to be what he did for the offense. It's not going to be the fact that he took a last-pick quarterback, Mr. Irrelevant, and made him a franchise quarterback. It's going to be the fact that he consistently lets his team down and seems underprepared when the moment calls for him to make the decisions.
Definitely. And so last week, when we did the Super Bowl preview episode, we said Kyle Shanahan, his reputation was on the line in this game. And I'm not saying that he's a bad coach now, but you have like that label, that monkey on your back. And the other thing we said was, are the 49ers players mature enough to win this game? Even their top veteran, Trent Williams, is a hothead, known to lose his cool, known to lose control of his emotions. Like, top down, I don't think they were mature enough. And like, I think what Aiden was saying, they couldn't control a 10-point lead in the second half. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, Aiden put it great last week saying like that they had been through everything. They had been through all battles and have risen above it. Like, they were just more battle tested. Like, that battle tested team, they outlasted the 49ers, I think. I think that they played pretty evenly. I think the Chiefs outlasted them. And I think we all knew. So it was the 3rd and 4 where Aiden touched on this play where it was a miracle Purdy got it away and was able to throw it away. 3rd and 4, I'm sitting there as they're lining up, and I'm like, this is the game right here. Like, because if they don't get this, Mahomes is scoring a touchdown. Like, when they kicked that field goal, I think we all knew it was just a matter of time before they came down. And then there was a lot of drama on that Chiefs final drive. Like, they had the 4th down early. And then remember they threw it and Marquez Valdez-Scantling like got pushed backwards and like ended up losing 4 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that was a huge swing, and like they overcame that. Like, the battle tested thing is gotta be hitting home this week because the Chiefs they were prepared for everything that was going to be thrown at them. The 49ers weren't mature enough, and they'll get there because this is now the 2nd Super Bowl they've been through. They've been through a couple NFC championship losses, so they're just going to become stronger because of this. But it says a lot, and I think it's worse because I do think they'll be back in another Super Bowl somewhere down the line in the near future. But when they go to that Super Bowl, if they go to that Super Bowl, the narrative will be the choking thing and like, can they get over this hump? Like, and that's not something you want to be dealing with leading up to a Super Bowl. Because the 2 weeks, I remember when the Eagles played the Patriots in the Super Bowl, Peterson and Belichick both said it's like the 2 weeks are a roller coaster, and it's kind of crazy how you kind of forget that you're playing a football game at the end. That 2 week span in between the championship game and the Super Bowl can throw you off.
Yeah.
So having those things thrown at you is not good. So like, it just hits home more that they needed this one to really flip narratives for their future.
I do want to add one more complaint to the Shanahan department. I feel like they did abandon the run, like especially on the early counts of the drive, like for no reason. Like I get McCaffrey fumbled the first drive, but like there's no reason for you to be in your own territory and throwing on first down. You have the best running back in the league.
Yeah.
And I feel like even at the last drive when they tied the game or put the game in position for it to go to overtime, they used him too much.
Yeah.
And I was getting concerned, like, this is the point where he would fumble the football. And, like, Elijah Mitchell's a pretty good RB2. You should have got him involved a little bit more, but it feels like if you just spread out his carries more, like, you wouldn't have needed to lean on him into overtime, and you probably would have got a little better production from him in overtime.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add to that. The only thing that I really liked that Shanahan did, like really liked, was how much they used Kyle Juszczyk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He is a great... Look, you're not going to win a Super Bowl just using your fullback, but if you use him in the right situations, it can really help your team. And I thought every time that he touched the ball, he made a play that either extended a drive or got them a first down. And it was a really big moment that sort of went underrated because he's not a star player. But that's what I said last week, is that he need to be used in situations to give them a chance to win. And that's exactly what the 49ers did. So I give props to Shanahan for that.
Yeah, agreed.
I do want to talk about Travis Kelce bumping Andy Reid. Do you think everyone's overreacting?
Yeah, a lot of people are freaking out about it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, both of them said afterwards that it was kind of just a heat of the moment thing. I think Kelce said that he didn't mean to like physically touch him. He meant to just like get in his face, but which is still wrong, getting in his face like that. But again, heat of the moment, like sometimes that happens, and they're comfortable with each other. Like, that's the thing. When a veteran is around a coach like for that long, they're going to have that type of relationship. So I don't really see a problem with it. I've yelled at my coach before too, so I think a lot of people have. I don't really see a problem with it.
I totally agree with Slay on this one. The fact that Kelsey and Reed have the type of relationship where Kelsey feels like he can go up to Reed and complain about the play calling, complain about the ways being used. Yes, I do agree. It did go over a line. This is the moment where Kelsey feels like that everyone's legacy is on the line. And so did Andy Reid. Tempers are going to flare. I think what really showed is that Andy Reid didn't overreact, because a lot of coaches could have said, all right, you're done for either this series, the quarter, whatever. But they both kept it in their mind what the bigger goal was. And that's the reason why. If this happened with San Francisco, forget it. Because we talked about the immaturity of some of the guys, if a star player was to go up to Shanahan and do this, the whole game would have been flipped.
Yeah.
And that could have easily happened with the Chiefs, but they are so experienced in these situations that they all kept their heads leveled. They got through that one really tense moment and came away with a win. I can't name another team that would have won if anything like that had happened.
I agree. Yeah. I like, seriously, not even one. I run through all of them. I don't even think Baltimore would get through that. Like, I don't think that there's one team that could be able to like deal with something like that.
Yeah.
And I think it says something that it didn't boil over. Like, it didn't really have much of an effect on the Chiefs sideline. Like, there was no after video or anything of like a big like scrum of players and coaches there. Like, it kind of just happened. They separated and that was it. Like, that says a lot.
It's like with the Ravens when Zay Flowers made that crucial mistake. Like, there was so much going on, like, after the play from him breaking his finger or whatever he did.
Right.
Like, it wouldn't have happened there.
Yep.
I do think he crossed the line, but, like, I don't think it sets a good example to, like, young athletes at all. However, like, I don't think that was his intention to hit him.
No.
And I also don't think that, like, if looking back at the moment, he wouldn't have done that. Like, considering everything, like, I don't even think he would have gotten in his face. Looking back on it. But I understand, like, he was very underutilized that first half. He had one reception for 1 yard when he did that. So I understand.
And he went off in the second half. So it's kind of like, I feel like no one should be talking about it. It's definitely a thing where, like, the Chiefs aren't talking about it anymore. Like, they went into the halftime locker room and fixed it, like, that moment. So, like, I think, again, it just speaks to the maturity, like, all that Kelsey is able to deal with some adversity in the first half and overcome it, get 90 yards in the second half. And if you watch that last play to the game-winning touchdown, like, Kelsey ran a shallow crosser underneath of McCole Hardman's route, which brought in his defender. So Kelsey, like, having that strong of a second half and having that kind of gravity with defenders opened up McCole Hardman for the touchdown. So, like, you could go, the Chiefs are almost like a perfect football team. You know, I mean, the one thing that kills them is the drops. It's like, that's the one thing.
Yeah.
And I can only really think of one drop that, like, quote unquote hurt them yesterday, and it was Watson dropped one like semi deep over the middle. It was probably like a 15 or 20 yard gain. I still think they scored on that drive, and B, even if they didn't, they won the game. So who cares? Like, all those things that we were talking about earlier in the season, because the Chiefs looked like a mess. Yeah, and we're like, this is the 1 year where I'm like, I don't think they can overcome this. Like another perfect playoff run to a Super Bowl. It's ridiculous. The Mahomes, Reed, they're all ridiculous.
Yeah. The one thing I saw, and it irritated me because it's the exact same play that the Chiefs ran last year in the Super Bowl, scored 2 touchdowns, and they ran the exact same play with Hardman. Yeah. And again, the game day preparation. They ran this play twice in the Super Bowl last year to perfection. How can you not cover that one play? Yeah. I do not understand. When I saw it happen, I was like, you can't possibly tell me that you've gone through 2 weeks of practice, not talking about this one play specifically. Yep. And again, to me, it just shows another lack of focus that the 49ers coaching staff had to discipline their players about what could happen in this game. It was the exact same route that Tony ran last year twice.
Yeah.
The thing is, you can't fire Shanahan, though. So he's going to be back.
No, we talked about this last week, too. We said, even if he loses, obviously he's not going to get fired. It's just the reputation that's going to get hurt. But again, the thing is, they're only going to put up with it for so long. And I'm not saying, if he gets to a Super Bowl over and over and over and loses them, obviously they're going to keep him. You don't just go to a Super Bowl and get fired. It's tough to get back. The Eagles learned that this year.
Yep. And they're not going back.
Yeah. The 49ers, they'll have to figure it out because it's going to be really hard. And this is the other thing that speaks to their immaturity. They talked a lot of trash. They have a lot of enemies in the league.
Yeah.
It's going to be really hard for them to get through next season. It's going to be hard. And they're already a team that is semi-injury prone. Kittle has dealt with injuries. Debo's dealt with injuries.
went down.
Right.
Wait, is that a turf field wherever they played?
I think it was natural grass. I'm pretty sure.
It's natural grass,
Yeah.
Okay.
And
the other thing, too, is that you got McCaffrey, who finally stayed healthy for a couple of seasons. How much longer do you think that lasts? Because he was always banged up in Carolina. He's thankfully been healthy with San Francisco, but they've given him more touches than almost any other running back in the league the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Production is only so sustainable for so long before you suffer another injury.
Yeah, agreed. And
yeah, and I'm not saying that to wish him badly or anything. It's just the fact of playing running back in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think people underestimate how hard it is to play into late January and February and then come back the next year. It's really hard. They put their entire bodies on the line for X amount of weeks straight. And then they went longer than 30 other teams in the NFL. So it's really tough to play a game do or die in February and then have to go report to OTAs in even June. It's hard. Yeah. Football has the shortest off season. You think obviously between the Super Bowl and the regular season start, it's a long time, but they are working through all of that. So it's a long off season. Or I'm sorry, no, it's a short off season because they are working constantly. And that can take a toll on people, especially when you play into February after you just played into late January the previous year. It's tough.
You guys have anything else?
I do not, no.
I just wanted to add in quickly that even though this will be forgotten because of how great the ending was, the kickers were the big story at the beginning of this game.
Oh, yeah.
Both Moody and Bucker made the longest field goals in Super Bowl history, basically back-to-back almost, which is just insane to see it happen. And I said last week that Moody was a huge question mark. Outside of the blocked extra point, which ended up being a huge factor when it came to the game, both these kickers were awesome.
Oh, yeah. We were all skeptical of Moody, but he played really well.
Yeah.
It's just so crazy that this game really was determined by three things that wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
In 100 reruns.
Yeah. I give this Super Bowl a 10 out of 10, honestly. I thought it was a great Super Bowl. I think the fourth quarter saved it, for sure.
Oh, yeah, it was going to be a shitty Super Bowl.
Yeah, but you can't beat that type of ending.
No, you can't.
Even if New England and LA Rams that year, let's say it ended 20-19, and went to overtime. They tied at 13 and then went to OT. Even though it's low scoring, that's a great game. And this game wasn't high scoring by any means.
Yeah.
But it was still very entertaining and it lived up to the hype for sure.
It was a defensive battle and the teams both put up more than 20. So really good.
I said my prediction was 24-20 last week. So I was almost spot on with that. I was very close.
Yeah, I had this as the third best Super Bowl of all time.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know.
Damn.
It was a great Super Bowl, but I don't know about that all time.
It went into overtime and was decided with 3 seconds left in the fifth quarter of the game. That has to make it. So the first one's the helmet catch, mostly because the Patriots are 18-0, and the fact they lost that game on that play is just crazy. The second is 28-3. Sorry, Falcons fans. And then it's this one. The fourth one I have is Patriots-Eagles. 41-33 with the Philly special and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So those are my top 4 Super Bowls of all time.
I don't want to make a whole list, but mine is Super Bowl 52, strictly because, not even because the Eagles won, but number one, it was the greatest quarterback of all time playing his best football game ever in the NFL. That was the best game Tom Brady ever played. Number two, most yardage combined by both teams ever in an NFL game, not just playoffs, ever in an NFL game. Highest scoring Super Bowl up until last year. The Philly special, like you have that type of moment, the fumble, the strip sack, like you have those types of like classic moments. I think that was the best Super Bowl ever.
I'm probably going to go 28-3 as well for the best.
I mean, yeah, that's no one can really argue that. That was like the best comeback in pro sports history, arguably. I mean, you really think about it. It was 28-9 going into the fourth quarter, which is like kind of even crazier than 28-3 at halftime. Because I mean, halftime is a long time. Like, there's a lot of football left, but going into the fourth quarter down 19 points. Yeah, that's
ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a great Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that'll do it for this week. We'll talk about the NBA trade deadline next week, and we'll see you.